What's up, damnation? Steven the Damn Guide here. For this week's video, we have traveled all the way to Savannah, Georgia to explore the historic Sorrel Weed House. This building, which was built in the mid-1800s, is one of the most haunted locations here in Savannah that also has a very, very rich history to it. We're going to be going through on a guided tour to learn everything we can about the history and hauntings of this beautiful location. You guys just sit back, relax, and enjoy this video as we learn the story of the Sorrel Weed House.
The upper portion of the Carriage House up until 1864 was used as an urban slave quarters. Now we have restaged it. You're going to get a chance to go upstairs and take a look around, take all the photos you want, except for the ones in the frames. We like to keep those. Now, a couple things to keep in mind as you go up. First off, the house and the Carriage House they've had many different incarnations throughout the years, so some things have changed. The stairs that you're taking were not originally part of the Carriage House. That floor used to go all the way across. The original entrance was this door right here behind this bottle bush. You see that one hanging out up there?
Yeah.
The stairs led to that one. And this window in the 1 o'clock position, that was also that was also a door. So the line that goes between the two, there was actually a little walkway up there. When you were upstairs, take a good look at those beds, lift up those blankets. There's a back room. If the door is closed, open it up, go inside. That belonged to the head housekeeper. If you're a slave and the head housekeeper, the only benefit you get was a little bit of privacy. On your way up the stairs, get a good look at the brick on the lower level. Run your hand along. It is faux brick on top of the real brick. I will explain that when you get inside, okay. when we get into this portion of the house, but there's a very good reason behind that. Anyway, go ahead and head on up. And when you're ready, you're going to come back down, and then we're going to get into the working area of the house.
Thank you.
God bless.
Now, as the guide said, this room down here actually wasn't any type of living quarters. Instead, this is where they would keep the carriages. This outcropping right here was once barn doors, which they would open and back the carriage in back before they had, you know, proper automobiles. There's another exit right here behind the staircase. Now where we're going upstairs, which these are not the original staircases, this just leads, these were added. Up here is the slave quarters, which they actually had rebuilt to look just like the proper slave quarters. Now if you look here at these beds, which are perfect reproductions of what they actually used, you'll see that they are made out of this netting with hay inside of it. They would use hay because it was able to, you know, withstand moisture, but the issue was that it was a great drawer for different bugs. So when they say don't let the bed bugs bite, it was actually to keep, because of these kind of beds, the bed bugs would live inside of the hay. Alright, excuse me. Back here we are going towards the, what I believe he said was the head worker of the house. They'd get the perk of having their own room with this beautiful wash basin and a cabinet. Now that's real silver. That's an actual silver mirror. And the rumor behind vampires as to why you couldn't see them in a mirror is because old mirrors used to actually be silver backed, which is what caused their reflection. Since silver is considered a pure metal, that's why you couldn't see a reflection. So modern day vampires, you'd be able to see the reflection in mirrors because we do not use silver for mirrors anymore. This would be their cooking utensils, which were made out of clay and metal. Everything that they used was usually handmade. These wooden bowls would be handmade, and this would be their only source of heat in the cold winter. Now during the summer, which is extremely hot and humid, they didn't have air conditioning or fans back then, but what they did have was these massive windows, which you see all over the place. So that way they could open them up and let the fresh air in. Now this specific window is one of the only ones that has the original bars on the window, which you can see on the other side of the window. That was actually to keep slaves in, to keep them from escaping in the middle of the night. However, they took most of the bars out from every other window except for that one. So that's the only one where you can see the bars that would keep them in.
But as we come through, you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4 fireplaces. Charles Cosby, the architect, would use the fireplace as a way of anchoring the home. So we're anchored at the fireplaces. You pull everything together with joist flooring. Then you got to make sure your support beams are in place. Now that said, during the 1940s, mistakes were made. Cohen family purchases the home. They move in upstairs. They turn this lower level into the Lady Jane department store. High-end fashions for all the ladies of Savannah, and it's the place to shop from 47 all the way up to 1989. Now when they create the department store, they need to create open space. Yeah. They ended up taking out the load-bearing wall. So when we took over the home, this entire place is sagged. We actually had to jack the house back up, place these beams in, but don't worry, we're good to go now. Now, we have very specific purposes for each one of these rooms. This is our washer and dryer set up over here, so hopefully you've done your laundry already. Otherwise, we're going to be here for a while. The garments that you see date back to 1850. Lovely lady Savannah donated these to us. Those are all hand stitched. Oh, by the way, did you check out that brick on the way up the stairs in there?
Yeah.
So that had very much to do with this right here. When they created the department store, they weren't sure how business was going to go. Turns out it was gangbusters. So they ended up expanding the department store in the 1950s out toward the courtyard, and then to turn in the Carriage house into a ladies' salon to complement the department store. That's where all that faux brick came into play. It was a thing in the 1950s to plaster over real brick and paint faux brick on top of it as a way of insulating. So if you ever see fake brick painted on top of the real brick, you have to say to yourself, that's from the 1950s. Now, unfortunately, we can't remove that fake brick now because it would ruin the integrity and everything will come tumbling. So we're kind of stuck with it now. Now, the brick that you see down here is not part of the original flooring. This has actually been replaced. The original flooring was black slate, and the Cohens, when they created the department store, poured concrete directly over the slate. So when we remove the concrete, tears the slate apart. Now over here, you'll find the kitchen. On the table in the kitchen, you'll find a piece of that black slate. Stays cool to the touch year-round. Feel free to pick it up, touch it, to get a good look at it. This is where all meals were prepped and cooked for your entire household. For the most part, this is Savannah though, and if you want to climb the social ladder, you have to throw a party. This was Party Central. For instance, Matilda would throw lavish events, upwards of 200 people to gather out in Madison Square. Now, on those occasions, the textile room, which is in the back corner, would serve as a backup kitchen. As you go in, you will see loom, a couple of spinning wheels, and my personal favorite is in the corner. It's called a spinning weasel. You all ever heard of that before? I guarantee you every single one of you has heard of it. You just don't realize it. Measures out yarn. You spin the weasel, and as the yarn would spin around the weasel, it was extremely repetitive. So to help you keep count, every 5th revolution, the weasel would pop. Exactly. That's where the song comes from. All around the mulberry bush, well, when Oglethorpe founded Savannah, he expected not cotton, but silk to be your main product, so he planted mulberry trees. Domesticated silkworm will only eat the leaf of the white mulberry. Now let's recap. We got laundry, kitchen, textile room, and backup kitchen. What room do you want next to that? Naturally, your doctor's office. Not disconcerting at all. That belonged to Dr. Frank Sorrell, a gentleman full of passion and adventure. He was an excellent surgeon, received his medical degree from Penn, and if you ended up on his operating table, you had yourself a whopping 46% chance of survival. And that was considered fantastic. If you're wondering why he was better than everyone else, if you look here, he installed this Purell filter in 1840.
We are down here in the hospital section, and in my bag I actually have a K2 meter, one of the pieces of ghost hunting equipment that we use in other locations. So during this daytime history tour, I thought, why not pull it out and see if we can pick up anything here, which, as he said, there was only a 46% chance of survival if you went into surgery, and this would be his table. It's worth a shot, maybe not, but if you look here, you can actually see some of the pieces of medical equipment that they would use, as well as different rounds probably pulled out of the chests of people that he performed surgery on. Now over here we can see a proper selection of all of his different types of medical equipment. My favorite, one of my favorite at least, is probably the saw right there, which would be used to saw through femur and bone. If you look right back there in that corner, that is actually an old glass syringe. Now back then they didn't have disposable ones, they had them made out of silver, so that way they could be properly disinfected. Now in here we have our textiles room where they would process cotton. Now this massive loom right here would be used to turn strings of cotton and other such things, silk as well, into actual sheets. You have your wheels, and then this right here is the weasel. I probably shouldn't touch that. Now this room would be your primary kitchen, where you would cook all the different meals for all of your guests. Now I love this right here. This is a real antique egg crate. Back before we had styrofoam and cardboard, they would actually use these reusable egg crates where you would buy your eggs, bring them back, and then they would give you credit if you brought the crates back to them. So you always brought the crates back to get your eggs at the beginning of every week. Now if you look here, it is actually several steps up from this floor up to street level. That is actually because when they built this building in the 1840s, this was street level. Whenever they built the streets, they kept on building the roads on top and on top and on top of one another. So between now and the 1850s, the streets have actually gone up almost 2 feet in height since they originally built this building.
So the Cole family took out the original staircase, which went up the center like this, and placed a Victorian style one along the side here. Well, whoever the contractor was plastered over all this, but only to the point of where the stairwell was. So when we removed the stairwell, that's how we found all this. All this grain you find in here, that's all brush chip. You look up in here, you can see the bones for the house, even a little wooden nail still up here. So before you all leave today, you're going to be able to get a chance to get back here and get a good look. Get a good look at that. Now the columns that you see, this is a beautiful brick portico entrance I was telling you about. These columns that you see do not serve a structural purpose, but they do serve a purpose, and it is all about etiquette, my friends. Because if you came to call upon the Sorrells in the years 1840, you ring the front doorbell, ding dong, the butler allows you in, but you never dare cross this threshold until you're greeted by Francis or Matilda. Take a look above the stairs. See those doors? Summertime, you open those up, open these up, and you get a wonderful downdraft coming through. But we don't want all these looky-loos looking in, so. Coolest part of the house and a little bit of privacy. Now the deal is, I did mention that they would throw these lavish parties, didn't I? Over to 200 people would gather out here.
Yeah.
Well, as you can imagine, on those occasions, it's impossible for, not impossible, but just unlikely for them to greet every single person to come through the house. So to let everyone know it's A-okay to come inside, The lady in the house would take a pineapple, which is a sign of hospitality, and place it out on the front porch. That lets you know it's okay to come on in. Southern hospitality dictates, once you have been welcomed into their home, you're welcome to stay as long as you like. Now, that does not mean the lady in the house doesn't grow weary of your presence. That just means this is the South, and she's never going to dare ask you to leave. When she's ready for you to go, she's going to retrieve said pineapple, bring it inside, place it up on the mantle. That lets everyone know you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. No. Follow me. By the way, when you all do end up leaving today, you're going to be leaving out their front door, which is those doors, or those doors I opened. Yeah. We have the stairs that go down both sides. A lot of folks in Savannah will tell you one side's for the ladies, the other side's for the men. I will not speak for outside of this home. But as far as this home goes, no, it is symmetrical. It just looks good. You go down whatever side you choose. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back now and kind of let you know how Francis arrives here in Savannah, because it's a fascinating story. Truly rags to riches. But if you give me one word to describe his entire life, it is tragedy. It follows him from day one. He's born in Haiti at the beginning of the French Revolution. Haitian mother, French father. His mother gets killed in an uprising when he's but 7 months old. His father abandons him at an early age, takes off to Cuba. From there moves on to a family plantation just outside New Orleans. Never sees Francis again. So for all intents and purposes, he has been orphaned. He has to make his way on his own. At the age of 14, he finds work in Port-au-Prince as a clerk for the Douglas brothers. George and Richard. Call it fate, call it destiny, but this changes his life forever. The brothers take a shine to him. They trade coffee and sugar between the U.S. and the West Indies. And by the time Francis turns 19, the brothers end up moving their offices from Virginia to Baltimore and invite Francis to join them. So he hightails it up to Baltimore. Upon his arrival, they send him up with a clergyman who helps educate him, teaches him English, only speaks French up to this point, learns a business through George, and eventually marries a wonderful woman by the name of Lucinda Moxley. Moxley on the father's side, Douglas on her mother's side. This is the niece of George and Richard Douglas, his mentors. Well connected on both sides of the family, going back to the American Revolution. And when they join in matrimony, Francis receives 1/7 of the family's Virginia property. Uses that money to team up with George to form Douglas Sorrell here in Savannah. They trade coffee, sugar, rum, flour, silk, indigo, all between here and the West Indies. Francis becomes the third wealthiest person in Savannah. Lucinda gives him 3 wonderful children. And 3 months after their third child is born, she succumbs to yellow fever. So now he's a widower for 2 years. Then he marries a woman by the name of Matilda Moxley. Now, if that sounds familiar, that's because she's the sister of his first wife, Lucinda. She gives him 8 children. I told you, tragic. She is the lady of this house. They lived here from 1840 up to 1860, when she ends up meeting her demise. She takes her head off the balcony and is ruled to suicide. Family is distraught, falls apart. Francis can't bear to live here without her, sells the house, moves next door, lives out the rest of his life there, another 10 years. These days, Francis and Matilda can be found out at the Laurel Grove Cemetery. In their mausoleum, Lucinda, his first wife, could be found in a separate grave out in the same cemetery. And there you go. And I don't know what you've heard before, but Matilda is still roaming around the house. So I'll tell you that much. Now we are in the parlors. This is the ladies' parlor, that is the gentleman's parlor. These pocket doors are mahogany. They're 300 pounds apiece. You slide them open and you got yourself a 44-foot long ball. Take a glance on the ceiling of the next part. That is the largest medallion you will find in any home in Savannah. It is original to the house. The one above my head here, yes, it is the same size, but it was falling apart. So we had students from SCAD make a mold of that and recreate it over here. Your fireplaces, I want you to get a good look at them. They're matching, but pay close attention to the cast iron because it tells a story. Women in 1840 are considered to nurture, so over here you will find mother and child and angels on each side. While men were considered your protectors. So over in the men's parlor, you'll see father guarding over mother and child. Directly across the hallway, you will find the dining room. It's done in a Regency style. You have curved walls as well as curved doors. Across in the men's parlor, you will find the study. In there, pictures of Francis, Matilda, Lady Jane's department store. Also the DeSoto Hotel, our neighbor across the street. You'll see what they used to look like up until 1966 when the Hilton Corporation purchased them. You're even going to find this gentleman over here. Now, let me introduce you to Gilbert Moxley Sorrell. He is probably the most prominent of the Sorrell children, fourth child of Francis and Matilda. Youngest general in the Civil War, was a brigadier general by the age of 24. In his retirement, he ends up writing a book called Recollections of a Confederate Staff Sergeant. That book is still used at West Point to train officers in military strategy, and is your best example on how to staff your military. Another fact, Frank, downstairs, his half-brother and cousin. Oh, by the way, in case I didn't mention, Frank was the third child of Francis and Lucinda, his first wife. So Frank's half-brother, Moxley's half-brother and cousin, he was instrumental in that book being written. See, Moxley was shot twice during the Civil War. Second time, a bullet pierces his lung. He is reported dead up in New York. People around Savannah, the scuttlebutt is that he has perished. Well, guess what? He wasn't all the way dead. He was mostly dead. But he makes his way to Roanoke, Virginia, where Frank happens to be practicing medicine. Frank performs surgery on him. Moxley survives, and as he is convalescing in Roanoke, Frank gets married. Moxley's his best man. Not too shabby of a story. It is the last week of January. The year is 2020. Should have known. It was myself, Joanne, and another guy by the name of Allie, who is no longer with us. Like she doesn't work here anymore now, like she's no longer with us. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I unlock the gate. Allie goes to make sure she's got turning on everything in the house. Well, she came out of the Carriage house, and she says, "Which one of you is giving the tour?" Excuse me? Well, there's a lady in the Carriage house waiting to go on tour. Allie, I just unlocked the gate. There's no one that's come through here. Well, she's in there. You better go check her out. Steve and I haven't even had a coffee yet. I am not down for this, but fine, whatever. So she comes into the Carriage. She comes in the main house. I head into the Carriage house. There's no one in the Carriage house. Call out, no one answers. Go upstairs. No one's up there either. Well, head on back out to the podium. Meanwhile, Allie comes out. She gets a little stern. She's, "What, are you going to help out the lady or what?" "Allie, there's no one in there." "What do you mean there's no one in there?" "I mean there's no one in there." She goes, "No. Don't you be messing with me." Well, she did not say messing. And I said, "I'm not." She goes, No, there was the lady that was in there." I said, "Well, what'd she look like?" "Well, she's wearing a long black dress with a shawl. She had her hair done up." "Did she tell you she went on tour?" "Well, no." "Well, what'd she say?" "Well, nothing." I went in. She's in a chair. I go upstairs, turn the lights on, come back down. She's still there. I looked her in the eye. I said hi. She smiled and nodded. That was it. Last week of January 2020, 10 o'clock in the morning. 2 days later, Allie's no longer working here. 2 weeks later, there's a photo taken downstairs in Dr. Frank's office, facing the fireplace. Same exact woman in the photo.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I hope that you were able to figure out some amazing history to do with this beautiful structure. Plus we got a little bit taste of the paranormal and the hauntings that go on in this amazing location. Make sure to like and subscribe, as well as comment below what you like the most about this video, as well as anywhere else you think I should make a video, or any topics you think I should make a video on. Make sure to join our Discord so that way you can get early access to all of our videos. You get them 30 minutes before anyone else gets access to the videos. Make sure to join our Patreon if you want to get some more behind the scenes action, as well as join in on our weekly Discord calls where you get to have conversations with me and ask questions face to face, more or less. Make sure to also check out our merchandise line. I'm rocking my Damn Guide t-shirt right now, so get yourself some Damn Guide merch. That way you can rock your damn guide, you know, your damn nation lifestyle. And trust me, nobody will judge you for it. They're soft, they're comfortable, and they look good. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and night. From your friend, the Damn Guide, I'll see you next time.